Here's a fact. The majority of our lives is built around words. Just think about how many words you use each and every day. Some of them are words you say out loud, like when you greet someone in the hallway, or talk to friends at the lunch table, or share a conversation with your mom when you get home. And some of them are words that aren't spoken, like words that are typed in a text message, or read in a book, or posted on social media. Sometimes there are thoughts in your head, or words communicated through American Sign Language. Words help us connect to other people, and I think that makes them pretty powerful. What's cool about words is that we have a lot of different freedom when it comes to them. For better or for worse, we have a choice. We can choose to use any words that we want to. If we give a compliment, if we make someone laugh, if we want to make someone mad. Of course, there are many consequences for what we choose to use when we conversate. When we call someone a name, or tell them a dirty joke, or even drop a cuss word or two in conversation. We might get into trouble or hurt someone's feelings, but at the end of the day, we still have the choice to use the words or not. We still have the freedom when it comes to the words that we choose. And I don't know about you, but that makes me wonder about, am I using my freedom in the best way when it comes to my words? Now, here's why I think this whole conversation about words is so tricky. Because if we're honest, most of us are probably thinking something like this. Is this really that big of a deal? We all get there are good words and bad words. We know there are certain things we just are not supposed to say. But what's a bad word to one person might not be a bad word to someone else. Because honestly, all of us struggle with our words in one way or another. There are all kinds of reasons for why we use our words the way that we do. Maybe we hear our family say them at home, so we repeat them ourselves. If the adults in our lives are talking like that, why can't we? Or maybe we use certain words because we want to fit in. Everyone else is just saying them, and we think saying them ourselves will help us be accepted and included. Or maybe we think it's okay to use certain words because they make people laugh. Well, here's what I would say to all of that. I think we're focusing on the wrong things. See, it's not really the words themselves that are the biggest problem. I think it's the way we use those words that give them power. Knowing that our words have power means that we recognize the impact they have both on ourselves and on others. The words we use can hurt someone else. Even if they don't tell you, or even if they don't mean to, someone could be hurt or offended by the words you say. And when you say something without thinking or even meaning it, you're allowing people to have an opinion about who you are. They're forming what they think about you based on the words they hear you say. See what I mean? Our words actually do have a lot of power, and that's why we need to think about what we say and why we say it. Thankfully, we can find some help on understanding the power of our words in the Bible. We're going to take a look at a book called James. It was written by, yes, a guy named James. What's interesting about James is he was actually Jesus' half-brother. So when James wrote about the power of our words, I think we can trust his judgment. Here's what he had to say. Whoa, that's a little dramatic, right? Well, think about the power of words here. Everybody has something to say about the words we say. So in order to really get his point across, James chose to be extremely dramatic. He chose really dramatic language and really harsh words that would get our attention. And honestly, it worked. Words like fire and wickedness and hell itself really have me listening. If you're anything like me, those words may make you a little uncomfortable. Some of you may even feel that the word hell is a cuss word. I think it's safe to say that James was pretty serious about the words that he chose to use here. So what exactly is his point? Well, I think James wanted us to know how powerful our words can really be. We all know that the tongue is a tiny part of the human body. It may not be a body part we think a whole lot about. I mean, it is kind of gross and weird looking. But from that small, strange looking part of who we are can come a lot of destruction. Even the smallest spark, just one word, has the potential to start a fire so big and bad that it takes over our entire lives. With just one word, we have the ability to bring destruction and devastation. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the damage a fire can cause, but you can probably imagine how big and bad and terrible it really is. Fires reduce even the strongest structures and the most beautiful landscapes to nothing but ash and rubble. And a lot of times that destruction causes permanent damage that we can't undo. At this point, you're probably wondering what's going on here. First, I showed you and told you about what the tongue can do. Now we're gonna talk about dental toiletries. This may seem strange, but just stick with me here, okay? So toothpaste is happy in its tube, just waiting to be used when we need to brush our teeth, right? And when we use the toothpaste the way it's supposed to be used, it's super helpful and good for us. But what about when you don't use it in the way it's meant to be used? When you get all crazy and careless with it? So we always use this little bit of an amount right here. But when we use more than we're supposed to, is that helpful and healthy for us right there? So we're gonna just solve this problem. We're just gonna put it back in the tube and that will fix everything. So let's start trying to do this. Oh, well, I don't think that this is gonna work out very well. So what's my point? This tube of toothpaste is just like our words. When they haven't been spoken, they have the potential to do a lot of good. Like when the little bit of toothpaste was placed on the toothbrush. But when our words come out with anger and frustration or without thinking, well then it's just like the mess of toothpaste all over the place. The paste came out, but we can't put it back in. When hurtful, mean, or disrespectful words come out of our mouths, they can create harm and hurt that is permanent. Just like the toothpaste, once the words leave our mouths, we can't put them back. Our words matter. The lies we tell, the names we call, the jokes we make, the insults we sling, and the lyrics that we repeat. Well, like James told us, if we're not careful, all those words we use can turn our relationships inside out, our reputations, our families, our futures into nothing but ash and rubble. Like the toothpaste, these words will leave a mess that cannot be fixed. That's why we have to be less careless with our words and more careful. We have to pay attention to the power of our words. And how do we do that? Well, look back one more time at some wisdom from the Bible with me. In the book of Psalms, we find a lot of prayers and songs written by a dude named David. And this prayer specifically is one we can use for ourselves when it comes to our words. So if we know our words have power, then we have to ask God to help us when we use our words and our mouths as well. We have to work on guarding our tongues and our mouths so that the words that come out of them aren't words that start fires, words that turn things and people we care about into ash and rubble. We have to work on controlling our words. Here's some things that can help us because we all know this does not happen overnight. First, think about your last words. Look at your last 10 text messages, or a few comments you left on social media, or a few songs you listened to, or even the last several things you said to a close friend or a family member. Then ask yourself, what's the power in these words? Are they bringing on destruction? Ash and rubble? Are they hurtful? Would you be embarrassed if you showed them to everyone in the room right now? If the answer to any of that is yes, then you need to pause. You need to ask God for forgiveness and help in guiding and guarding your words more wisely going forward. Maybe you even need to ask for forgiveness from the person you said those words to. Part of paying attention to the power in our words means recognizing when we're using them in ways that are hurtful to other people. So start right there. Then take a step to make a change. How can you better control your words coming from your mouth so that you don't leave behind ash and rubble? You may have the freedom to say anything you want, but controlling your words means you're using your freedom to not say it at all, regardless of who you will or won't hurt. Maybe it means choosing to replace your old words with new, better words that build people up instead of tearing them down. The power of your words. I want you to think about this question throughout this week. In what ways can I use my words for good?